Hi Steve, my name is Nilspaudition. We spoke last week. This is my audition tape. The first piece is called Dr. Is. It was something that I wrote myself. Was shot by Stoke Films here in Des Moines, Iowa. The second piece will be from Henry V, the Shakespeare piece. And I just wanted to send you some of my work so you could take a look at it, and I hope to get the chance to meet you soon. Thank you very much, and have a good day.
Hello everybody, and welcome to the What Is show. I'm Dr. Is, a.k.a. Jeremiah Jangleheimer Schmidt Porter. And you may be wondering why I'm on a show where we take medical questions from the audience. And I'm a janitor down at the public library on Euclid and 63rd. Well, my brother Jeremiah, Jedediah, who's actually behind the camera there.
Hey there.
Thank you, Jedediah. He was nice enough to pay my rent last June, and so I owe him $457.63, and so that's why I'm doing this. I want to pay off my debts and be an upstanding man. Anyway, let's get right to the letter, shall we? Our first letter comes from our sister Leslie right down the street and says, "Dear Dr. Is, why is it that you're pretending to be a doctor? You could get into a lot of trouble doing that, don't you know? Leslie, as I just said, I'm just doing this to pay off the debt for my rent that was paid by Jeremiah, who's behind the camera there." Yeah. And thank you, Jedediah. And so that's why I'm doing this. Let's get to the next letter, shall we? Our next letter comes from your concerned mama. "Boys, I told you not to go on cable access television and pretend to be doctors. Mama, I'm telling you, it's no big thing. We did give a clarification at the beginning saying that we weren't really doctors."
We ain't no doctors.
We ain't no doctors. Thank you, Jedediah. Our last letter comes from a reader who's in downtown Des Moines and is homeless with his grandmother. And it reads, "Dear," thank you, Jedediah. "Here, dear Dr. Is, I'm concerned because my grandmother is obsessed with her bowel movements, and it's all she can talk about. Every day she spends 16 hours in the bathroom, and when she comes out, she talks about little else." Well, I'll tell you. Oh, and it also reads, "I've tried corn syrup and other starchy foods without any success."
I'm getting a little sick there, Jeremiah.
Me too, Jedediah. Why don't you, dear reader, why don't you try just listening to your grandmother? She is your grandmother after all, you know. And so we're just asking that you maybe pay a little bit more attention, play fiddly sticks or other elderly games, maybe some cribbage, or maybe a little bit of crochet. That ought to do the trick. Well, anyway, this is Dr. Is, Jeremiah Jangleheimer Schmidt Porter signing off. Again, I'm not really a doctor, Mama. I'm just a poor and unsophisticated janitor at the public library. Thank you.
Once more unto the breach, dear friends, once more, or close the walls up with our English dead. In peace there is nothing so becomes a man as modest stillness or humility. But when the blast of war blows in our ears, then imitate the actions of a tiger, stiffen the sinews, summon up the blood, disguise fair nature for hard-favored rage. Then lend the eye a terrible aspect. Let it pry through the portage of the head like a brass cannon. Let the brow o'erwhelm it as fearfully as doth a gulled rock, or hang and jutty its confounded base, swilled with the wild and wasteful ocean. Now set the teeth and stretch the nostrils wide, hold hard the breath, and bend up every spirit to its full height. On, you noblest English, whose blood was fet from fathers of war proof, fathers that, like so many Alexanders, have in these parts from morn till even fought, and sheathed their swords for lack of argument. Dishonor not your mothers, now attest that those whom you called fathers did beget you. Be copy now to men of grosser blood, and teach them how to war. And you, good yeomen, whose limbs were made in England, show us here the mettle of your pasture. Let us swear that you are worth your breeding, which I doubt not, for there is none of you so mean and base that hath not noble luster in your eyes. I see you stand like greyhounds in the slips, straining upon the start. The game's afoot. Follow your spirits, and upon this charge, cry God for Harry, England, and St. George!